When a model fell 14 stories to her death, her family believed it was under suspicious circumstances. She was naked when she fell, and she was also last seen on CCTV footage carried by a man. For years, her family has been seeking the truth for Ivana Smith, and just this year, her botched investigation has been reopened. So let's dive into everything that occurred, how it got to this point, and what you believe really happened on the 20th floor of the high rise. You are such a genuine gem. Thank you for clicking on my video. I am Brooke Makenna, and I'm so grateful that you are here. If you love these kind of stories and are passionate about hearing about the victims and the survivors over the killers and the monsters, please subscribe and join our Genuine Gem community. It truly means the world to have your support. And this community is just a wonderful community that really cares about spreading awareness and giving voices to those who have been silenced. The Smith family have been fighting for justice for 8 years now, and so I truly hope that this is coming to a conclusion and they will finally get answers. If you want to, you can sign up to the Genuine Gem newsletter, which I will have linked in the description below. This just allows me to personally send you my videos so you never miss an upload. Before we dive into the story, I want to give a quick thank you to our sponsor who allows me to continue creating these videos. That is Magic Spoon today. Magic Spoon is basically your favorite cereal from your childhood, but the high protein, no sugar version that still tastes amazing. You get your nostalgic treats, but upgraded with grown-up ingredients. Magic Spoon cereal has 13 to 14 grams of protein, 0 sugar, and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs in each serving. They also have protein treats with 11 to 12 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and 1 to 2 grams of net carbs. They have 16 plus delicious flavors to choose from between the cereals and the treats. I'm constantly adding these to my to-go bag for an easy protein snack when I'm out and about that I know I'm going to enjoy. But you can use my code Brooke Mckenna or click the link in the description to try Magic Spoon cereal or treats for $5 off. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon as well as in your nearest grocery store. Magic Spoon is also so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. So just click the link in the description or go to magicspoon.com/Brooke Mckenna or scan the QR code and you can get $5 off. Now let's get back to the story. So back in 2017, Ivana Esther Roberts Smith was 18 years old. She was a beautiful young lady, and she had gotten into the modeling world 5 years prior at around 13 years old. She had been born in the Netherlands to her Dutch and Indonesian Chinese parents. She was the youngest in her family. She had an older brother. However, since birth, she was raised by her paternal grandparents. Now, her parents were often busy with work and overseas. They had a used car dealership that they owned. So, in 2002, when Ivana turned 3, her grandparents actually moved to Penang, Malaysia. And when they did so, Ivana, who was watched by them constantly, missed them dearly. In fact, she was refusing to eat for her parents. So her grandparents decided to fly her out to Penang to take care of her full time. She was extremely close to her grandfather, Hendrik Smith, who was in his 70s. He described her as always cheerful, positive-minded. She was never depressed. She did well in school. She graduated from an international school at the age of 16. She had 35 different certificates from various courses she attended, and she spoke 4 languages fluently. She was said to have a huge group of friends. She was very social. Her friends said she was bubbly, she was fearless and outgoing. She loved to play football like her grandfather. She also played guitar and piano and had a black belt in Taekwondo. But Ivana's goal in life was to become a famous model. She had grown to a very tall height at 5'11" in her preteen years, and she was noticeably beautiful. She was a shoo-in for modeling, and so when she got involved, she began to book gigs. At just 15, she had entered the Malaysian supermodel competition and received second place. At 17, her grandparents moved back to her birthplace of the Netherlands and lived with her parents for a few years, so Ivana, of course, went back with them. But when Ivana was 18, she decided to return to Malaysia due to more opportunities to model there. She had moved to Kuala Lumpur and began working as a freelancer, meaning she wasn't necessarily signed with an agency at this time. Ivana was said to be extremely happy to be back. She felt like she was exactly where she should be. In fact, she was already getting opportunities. That December of 2017, she had a flight booked to Paris. She was chosen as a contestant in the 2018 Top Model Belgium competition. She was to leave on December 21st, telling her family at a birthday party for her grandfather that she was busy doing lots of shows, but she was very happy. At this time, she was said to have a boyfriend named Lucas that she loved. She posted him on social media. Friends said that they both loved fashion, they supported each other's careers, and they really appeared to love each other. But Ivana's dreams would come to a crashing halt when emergency services were called to the Cap Square residence of a high-rise apartment building. This was Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, in the city where Ivana lived, but this apartment complex was not where she lived. Ivana was said to be living at different friends' places during this time, kind of just crashing on their couches. But officers were called to this building due to a sixth-floor tenant finding a body on his balcony. This was around 10 a.m. On December 7th, Ivana Smith was deceased, but her body was found naked. By 3 p.m., 5 hours later, a couple living in that building would finally contact the police, stating that they were the ones who had been with Ivana the night prior. She was actually in their apartment on the 20th floor. They allegedly even had her belongings still in their apartment. Now, not much was released to the public at this time, but it was stated that 18-year-old Ivana Smith had gone with this older couple to their apartment building the night prior, and that she had possibly fallen from their 20th floor balcony to the 6th floor balcony. It was also stated that alcohol and drugs were found in her system. Now, the couple that Ivana was allegedly with that night were identified as Americans, a 45-year-old Alexander William Johnson and 31-year-old Laura Almaziski. Now, Alex and Luna was what they went by. They lived on the 20th floor apartment of the Cap Square residence. Alexander was found to be a Bitcoin cryptocurrency millionaire. He had founded Everest World, a cryptocurrency company, and Luna owned an online digital marketing business. Now, the American couple were also said to have a young daughter. They were questioned by officers and they were cooperative. They told investigators that they had met Ivana a few months prior while out at a nightclub. Luna and Ivana began to connect on the dance floor. They were dancing together, and that is when Ivana learned that Luna was bisexual. Soon enough, they were hanging out together with Luna's husband, Alex, joining. So the weekend of the 6th, the day before Ivana was found, she was actually working as a model at the Mantra Rooftop Bar to bring in the crowds. They would often hire these beautiful women to just go out and gather people to come inside. Alex and Luna were said to find themselves at that very location for a birthday party. When they noticed that Ivana was there, they invited her over to their home. They said they were both friends with Ivana. She came up willingly, and that's when they engaged in a threesome. And they all fell asleep with Ivana still in their apartment. Both claimed that they woke up the next morning. Alexander was asleep for a little bit. Luna took their child to school, unaware of Ivana's death. They assumed she had left the apartment. They strongly denied that they gave her any drugs or took any themselves that night. However, the Mantra Rooftop Bar where they were was known for its wide variety of drugs. Ivana was rumored to have been looking for ecstasy that night. However, 3 months later, on March 29th of 2018, the American couple, Alexander and Luna, were charged for drug consumption and breaching immigration rules as they were Americans living in Malaysia. Their daughter went to live with their nanny for this time being while they were in custody. Blood tests were given, immigration issues were investigated, but it found out there was no trace of drugs in their system and the visas were in order. They spent about 2 weeks in custody before they were released on bail. Alex agreed to go to trial. Luna agreed to plead guilty to the drug charges, and both could be charged with 2 years in jail. However, they weren't, and you would find out later that they never were. So they were released, even though in Ivana's system during her post-mortem, this showed she had cocaine, alcohol, and high levels of PMMA, an amphetamine that is often sold as ecstasy. This American couple, once released, would then leave the country, believed to go back to the US, and they went silent. Ivana's boyfriend, Lucas, had said that she'd actually sent him a selfie that night telling him that she was going to be going home with an American couple after a night out. He was aware that she was doing this. He had last heard from her the next morning around 7:25 in the morning, about 3 hours before she was found dead. Ivana's family traveled to the area immediately after finding out. Her grandfather Hendrik could not bear to see her body on the stretcher, but he did look at her face that they were shown briefly to identify her before she was covered back up. What they saw, however, was enough to convince them an investigation would occur, that it was needed. However, police would classify this as a sudden death, not suspecting foul play. The family was told that Ivana was intoxicated at the time, and they were baffled because they insisted they had seen marks on Ivana's neck. They believed that these were blue marks resembling fingerprints. Her family wanted to know why she was naked, if she went to the apartment naked. If she hadn't, then where were her clothes and shoes? So her family, not getting any answers, decided to investigate it themselves. Ivana's brother was able to get in contact with the apartment building staff to obtain CCTV footage from that night. He alleged that Ivana was seen entering the building and was in fact clothed. This was around 5 a.m. when she entered with the American couple. Only 5 hours later, she was deceased. Her father then began talking with neighbors of the apartments, and he claimed that the neighbors of the 20th floor apartment heard shouting and arguments from that apartment that the American couple lived in that morning. Her father stated that the Malaysian police just wanted to tie up the case quickly. They hired a lawyer, and their lawyer would find that the police may have been negligent in this investigation due to his findings that they even allowed media representatives into the crime scene because they believed that they were family members. They did no investigating to prove this. Police confirmed that this was a mistake they made. After a week of the Malaysian police failing to investigate this further, calling it a misadventure, the Dutch embassy in Malaysia asked Interpol to investigate these concerns. The family claimed they were not allowed to see any photos or reports regarding this case. Family, friends, and those who knew her in the area and knew her from modeling were all under the same impression. Something wasn't right here. Her grandfather Hendrik said it's so painful to see her at the morgue. She wanted to become a famous model. Today she's famous, but she's not alive to see it. Gossip and rumors about her being a substance abuser, among others, are disturbing, as we were very close and I know she would not have done such a thing. Her family posted a $50,000 reward for information, leading to the conviction of the person responsible for her death. Since Ivana was unable to make it to the top model competition, they declared her a co-grand prize winner of the year. The organizer even went to her wake and laid the winner's sash on her casket. But at the wake, her grandfather Hendrik had been told several odd things. He was told that none of her bones were broken and that there was no blood at the site where she fell. He didn't know what to believe, how that could be that someone who fell 14 stories had no broken bones and no bloodshed. He also found that the balcony railing was about 120 centimeters and Ivana was 181 centimeters tall. He didn't believe that she could have just fallen accidentally. After her cremation, her grandparents kept half of her ashes while her parents kept the other half. Her family then hired a British private investigator, Mark Williams Thomas. He spent a week in Malaysia gathering evidence, and he concluded that this case should be treated as a homicide. He said if it was happening in Britain, it would be. He said the investigation was shoddy and riddled with holes. He also accused the Malaysian police of a cover-up. He was able to obtain CCTV footage from that night out prior to the death. He found footage at the high-end club, the Mantra, which showed Ivana that morning. However, Ivana was not walking. Ivana was being carried by a Caucasian male who was walking through the hallway towards the lift. This was time-stamped 5:22 a.m., while a woman trailed behind. This was believed to be Alex and Luna Johnson. The PI also stated that while talking to the American couple's lawyer, the lawyer had admitted they had access to Ivana's phone and that they looked through it. He even told the PI to look through it because it would reveal the innocence of the American couple and Ivana's frame of mind at the time. While many were pleading for the truth to be told, the Netherlands government would not interfere with the Malaysian investigation. Ivana's uncle then went on the Dutch TV show Late Night and told them that they could not accept that this was an accident, and the lack of involvement from the American couple was baffling. The show also briefly mentioned a possible connection between this American couple and the Malaysian minister.
My favorite memory from Ivana, because we are so close. She loved me and she cannot live without me. And everywhere she go, I am also go with her. At the age of 12, after she take different lessons, she also take the lesson for catwalk. I try to give her so many opportunities so that she can choose one of them, because not only she can play music very well, only singing she cannot do that.
Saya yang membesarkan dia dari bayi. Kemana kita pergi, dia pergi.
On the day she passed away, my son in Holland called me. He was crying. He said, "My daughter died, passed away." That's what happened. At that moment, he cannot tell enough because he just heard she passed away. Hari keduanya, kita jumpa di rumah sakit polis yang bawa barang-barang dari Ivana.
Nggak ada pakaian.
Tak ada pakaian, tak apa, sebab mereka bilang waktu jumpa dia punya mayat, dia sudah naked. If you see the video, she looks happy. But after you know she passed away, then you got angry because we don't know the truth. The questions are not answered.
By May of 2018, Ivana's family wrote a letter to the Prime Minister asking to look into the suspicious circumstances of her death. Their letter that they wrote informed the Prime Minister that the family had yet to receive the first report, a post-mortem examination, and the repeated requests by Dutch authorities for case files have been ignored. Dutch authorities were only allegedly given a skimpy briefing with no exact findings. So this letter said, their main wish, the parents, is to gain access to the complete case file so they can convince themselves that there is nothing more to investigate. This is so the relatives no longer have to live with unbearable uncertainty and know that every stone is turned. Their lawyer also asked the Prime Minister to look into why the American couple had not faced criminal charges for drug possession. Now, on August 8th of 2018, 8 months after the death, that is when an inquest would begin into her death. There had been a reopening of this case due to the pressure from the Smith family, who claimed foul play and a cover-up. 22 witnesses were called, and among them was Coroner Mayon Talib, who visited the crime scene, the balcony, as well as the 20th floor apartment. Lance Corporal Cornelius Nendung testified that he took 45 photos at the crime scene. He photographed a box of sex toys as well as a condom on the 20th floor apartment building in their room, but he was unsure if the condom was used. A witness on the 6th floor then testified that he had informed management upon seeing that a railing had collapsed. The staff told him that perhaps something had fallen down. There was also testimony that the autopsy done by medical examiner Dr. Nurliza in Kuala Lumpur morgue found that Ivana had injuries to the left side of her back and her skull when she fell 14 stories, crashing through the balcony roof. She had died of injuries to her pelvic bone and her left chest that caused a broken artery consistent with blunt force trauma. Dr. Nurliza was certain that Ivana received those injuries then and not before the fall. She stated that her conclusions were drawn from police evidence and similar cases to the victims falling from that height. She said that blood was pooled in Ivana's thoracic region from the blunt force trauma, and that was proof that she was still alive when she made impact. But the coroner Talib, who had visited the scene, didn't agree and asked how she could have made that conclusion when she wasn't there to see her fall. However, a Dutch pathologist, who was Frank de Groot, who was hired by the Smith family, had attempted to go to Kuala Lumpur to conduct a second autopsy for the family, but Malaysian authorities did not allow this. He actually had to wait until she was flown back to the Netherlands. He conducted the autopsy 21 days later and found evidence that she suffered injuries beforehand. He found bruises on her upper arms indicating a struggle had taken place likely before she fell. He said that there was a chance she was dead before she had fallen. He stated that Dr. Nulisa's findings was just textbook theory. He ruled that between the bruises, the broken glass bottle in the apartment, and the DNA of Alex found under her nails all suggested foul play. Dr. Helmy, who was Dr. Nulisa's junior, also concluded that Ivana was alive when she fell and may not have died until several minutes afterwards. But then, after the inquest, Dr. Hemley retracted all opinion-based statements during the testimony after being questioned by the lawyer for the family. But it was found that in Ivana's system, she had traces of cocaine, cannabis, alcohol. The police officer who was on the scene testified that she had not been instructed to cordon off the 20th floor apartment as a crime scene. She said the 6th floor was the main focus where she had fallen, and they only went to the 20th floor to find footprints. She said she was in contact with the Johnsons that day, having no idea that they were suspects in their case or even what their identities were. They allegedly did not tell her any of this. She was then informed by a fellow police officer of their possible involvement. The officers seized multiple items from the 20th floor apartment, including 2 bathrobes, an empty beer bottle on the balcony, and a broken bottle in the living room. Items belonging to Ivana were still inside: her shoes, her bag, and her mobile phone. A resident of the complex, Suparman, testified that he left for work that morning around 9 a.m., and when he returned home, he saw a bright light shining through his apartment, through the balcony, and he realized that his balcony roof had collapsed. When he got closer, he saw that there was a body not moving. A technician who worked for the apartment complex testified that he saw a pair of legs sticking out of the balcony on the 6th floor unit and that the body was covered in debris and plastic. They claimed to not have approached it or touched it and called the manager. So the building manager of the Cap Square residence, Vanessa Nayar, testified that around 2:30 p.m. an employee of hers told her that a body was found. She immediately called the police. However, she told the police that this body was a Chinese male. Due to the skin color, she wasn't able to see the victim's face, and she didn't know if they were a resident or not. Once the body was found, Vanessa escorted police to the 20th floor apartment around 3 p.m. They rang the bell, they knocked, they got no answer. However, Vanessa was certain she heard noises inside as though somebody was there. So she told the police she was going to call them, and one of the cell phones rang through and the other one was not reachable. Vanessa also stated that a maid had cleaned the 20th floor apartment of the American couple the day of the death. She stated the police did not cordon off the scene early that morning when they were called, and that when she went to go give her statement later, they wanted to go back to the 20th floor apartment with her. So they went back around 9:30, 10 p.m., and they found a maid inside. They questioned her about if she cleaned. She claimed she did, having no idea what was going on, and police allegedly started scolding her. Vanessa said that this maid had her own access card to the building and to the condos in order to clean. It was her daily routine. Vanessa said that police tape only went up for the 20th floor apartment the next morning. She then went to check the records for the lifts or for the elevators on the residence, as they could be tracked via the residence access cards. Vanessa was able to see CCTV footage of the American couple, Alex and Luna, entering with Ivana in those early morning hours. The senior investigating officer would testify that he had spoken with the Johnsons after the body was found. He asked Alex, "Where's your friend?" Alex said he didn't know. His wife searched for her in the home, but she wasn't there. She said she had a 10 a.m. appointment that morning. The officer said that this was very suspicious, that they assumed that she had left when all of her belongings were still in the house. The officer said that the couple was taken in to be questioned at the police station, but they would only respond with no comment and "I don't know." It was revealed in this inquest that Luna had admitted to having sex with Ivana on the morning of her death. We will get more into Luna's story here in a bit. But Ivana's boyfriend then testified, Lucas Kramer. He said that Ivana had promised to return to him in the early morning hours the day she died. Ivana had told him that she was actually going to go on a ladies' night out the evening of the 6th and would be back by 1 a.m. Lucas said he tried to stay up and wait for her, but he drifted off to sleep, and the next morning when he woke up, he realized she wasn't there. He called her around 6:30 in the morning and asked where she was. She told him she was at her girlfriend's place, not mentioning any names, and that she wanted to get some rest. He said she sounded all right, like she had kind of a long night, so they hung up. 5 minutes later, though, he got a call from her number. However, the person on the other line was the girlfriend of Ivana. She said that they were just chilling. Lucas didn't know who she was at that time. But he said at 7:24 a.m. he got a WhatsApp message from Ivana, which was a selfie of Ivana and Luna with the caption, "I'm chilling at my chick's place. I love you." Lucas told the court that he immediately felt odd because Ivana did not talk like that. She would never have used the word chicks. But he went to work and he returned home. He would find that Ivana was still not there. After many different calls, he would learn that Ivana had passed away. Lucas told the inquest she was never suicidal. I can attest to that 100%. I can't think of anyone who would want to murder her, and I haven't met anyone who hated her. He also stated that she didn't take drugs. She was not known to at all. She liked a very healthy lifestyle. But Lucas had also received a strange message after her death from a friend of the Johnsons. This said, "She wanted to break up with you. She didn't have nice things to say about you, bro." Now, the Johnsons did not attend the inquest even though they were subpoenaed because they had left Malaysia in March of 2018 for Singapore before heading back to the US. Once back in the States, they were believed to be going all across the country and to Florida. 1 year and 3 months after the death, on March 18th, 2019, the coroner's court ruled that Ivana's death was caused by a misadventure. After a year of silence, the American couple who believed that this case was over and done with, they spoke out for the first time. Alex and Luna told UK's Daily Mail that they had done nothing wrong, that Ivana likely fell off the balcony on her own. Alex said, "We had unequivocally nothing to do with her passing. We have enjoyed the company of other women over the course of our marriage. I honestly don't give a what anyone thinks anymore. We are numb to it. We have had a year and a half of this. We have lost everything and started over again. I don't care anymore." Luna stated, "Ivana was our friend and we both had relationships with her. She came with us willingly that night. I wished I had more time to know her. I lost a friend." They claimed that the teen had told them that she was 26 and they had been with her several times before that night. Luna said the morning of her death, Ivana was hammered and she was talking to her while Luna was getting her daughter ready for school. Luna said she left at 8 a.m., returned about 8:15, and Ivana was in bed with her husband. After that, Luna said that she and Ivana sat on the sofa and became intimate, and then they all fell asleep. She said she woke up again around 1:25 p.m. and discovered that Ivana's items were still in the home, but Ivana was not. She said she fell asleep again and didn't know about the death until 5 p.m. when police knocked on the door. The Johnsons spoke about receiving death threats as well as an attempt to kidnap their young daughter. They claimed to have fled the country due to fearing for their safety, even deleting their social media profiles. Both had shut down their previous businesses, and now Alex was said to run the company out of the apartment that they lived in Miami. They admitted they used to be avid partiers, they would do drugs, but it slowed down significantly after they had their daughter 6 years ago. They would only go out every once in a while to dip their toes in, and they said that that's what they were doing that night when Ivana came to their apartment. Now they were said to only have a handful of friends in Miami. They only go out to go to the park or the local school. They said that a TV program had even followed them home and filmed their apartment, and now everyone knows where they live, and the death threats have continued.
Good morning. Sorry for you. I'm so sorry I do apologise. Look, we're a couple of journalists and we saw what happened with the Dutch people that harassed you. We're not going to harass you, we just wanted to ask you politely. Do you have anything to say to about what happened in Malaysia?
Are we going to talk to you guys videotaping again?
I'm sorry, because we're journalists and nothing. What I want to ask you is, do you think...
What's your name? Can I at least tell you business card? Can I ask not to videotape, please?
Well, stop for a second, please.
But the Johnsons also stated, "We are innocent, but we have been under fire for a year and a half due to a smear campaign. Enough is enough." They threatened to take the Smith family to court for defaming them unless they stopped. They said the Smith family suffered an unimaginable loss with the death of Ivana. Proceedings against them are the last thing we want, but what choice do we have but to go to court if this continues? They want the whole world to attack us. The Johnsons have already launched legal proceedings against the private investigator Mark Williams Thomas, claiming that he falsified evidence and pressured people to give him statements that he wanted to hear so that he could use them against them. But the private investigator continues to believe that something happened in that apartment, probably around the time when Luna was out taking their daughter to school. The verdict of death by misadventure was appealed by Ivana's mother, Christina, and on November 22nd of 2019, it was replaced by a verdict of death by person or persons unknown. The High Court judge ordered the Attorney General to direct Royal Malaysian Police to begin further investigations. On November 20th of 2020, 3 years after Ivana's death, Christina, her mother, filed a suit against the Inspector General of Police, Investigating Officer Abdullah, the Home Minister, and the Malaysian government for alleged breach of statutory duties and negligence in the investigation into their daughter's death. However, the High Court struck out the suit on the grounds that it didn't comply with the rules of the court, but after it was appealed, it was reinstated. The year after that, in 2022, 5 years after the death, the High Court then dismissed the police and government's application to strike out the lawsuit, stating that there were serious questions involved to be argued via a full hearing, meaning this was going to go to trial. And in 2024, news broke that police had issued a blue notice to Interpol to locate the whereabouts of the Johnsons over the murder of Ivana. A blue notice is a request for information about a person's identity, location, or activities in relation to a crime. However, it is not a request for an arrest or an extradition like a red notice. And just this year, on July 29th of 2025, the High Court ruled in favor of Ivana's mother in her civil lawsuit. Ivana's family was awarded $350,000 in damages after findings of police negligence for their failure to conduct a fair and impartial investigation.
Justice Rosmawa Rozain stated that the police had breached their duty of care in handling the investigation. She said the case represented a profound failure of Malaysia's law enforcement system. The judge highlighted premature classification, crime scene management errors, evidence preservation failures, inadequate witness and suspect handling, foreign evidence neglect, and expert evidence dismissal. Justice Rosmawa noted evidence that Johnson's DNA was found in Smith's fingernails based on a DNA report dated February 8, 2018.
So we are extremely happy on the decision by this learned judge. She has, I must say, taken an exemplary move to go into each and every detail which I haven't seen in my legal career. And I therefore commend her for her sense of objectivity and her sense of illustriousness. So in that sense, the family is very happy, extremely happy with the decision, but also sad that it took so long. Clear vindication of a young 18-year-old girl who wanted to just go on with a beautiful life.
The police were also ordered to reopen the investigation and send in quarterly progress reports.
Interestingly, this is the first time I've come across where a learned judge has ordered the AG to report every 3 months. Sorry, the police to report to AGC every 3 months, which is meaning the court has taken serious cognizance that it must carry on and complete the investigation so that the end of it would be done.
The family said the money awarded is of no consequence. It is far more important that we get recognition from Malaysia that we are not crazy for saying what we were saying for almost 8 years. We won't get Ivana back, but at least we have the satisfaction that a new investigation was ordered and the monsters responsible cannot rest easy. They have said they are not after revenge, just the truth. Hopefully they will be getting that soon. What do you really believe happened in that 20th floor apartment? Was this an accident? Did she fall off that balcony that day due to being intoxicated? Or did something way more sinister happen? Does Luna know? Was she there at the time when this happened? Was she out with her daughter, dropping her off at school? If she knew, would she come forward? Or would she stick by her husband? How have they gotten 0 charges and have been allowed to leave the country while this investigation was occurring? Do you think this is a cover-up or simply just a bunch of negligence by police who just wanted this case to go away quick? I think a huge factor in this case is Ivana being found naked, especially the fact that it's not believed that her clothes were actually found in the 20th floor apartment. Why is that? Did she really have fingerprints and markings on her neck? And why, if police saw this, was this not immediately investigated as a possible homicide? This family has fought so much for justice, and we are finally seeing the fruits of their labor, and I just hope, regardless of what the answer is and the truth is, that that is what they receive. That they no longer have to wonder if something happened and if justice is not being given. Because they have said over and over again, they are not trying to blame people for something they didn't do. They just want to know, and they don't feel like the police did a good enough job in finding out what actually happened. I really appreciate you listening to Ivana Smith's story. She seemed like a wonderful individual. She had so many dreams. She was about to go to a top model Belgium, and that could have completely changed her life, but instead it was ripped away from her, and there's a chance that that involved foul play by perpetrators who have been on the run for years. It's unknown if Alex and Luna have been brought into custody yet after their blue notice, but I will keep you updated in this case and what's to come. Make sure to subscribe if you are not already. I also have a vlog channel, Brooke Mckenna Vlogs, if you would like to see more of my personal life and other videos besides true crime. And I also do short form true crime content on Instagram and TikTok if you want to follow me there. Don't forget you can get $5 off your Magic Spoon cereal or treats at magicspoon.com/Brooke Mckenna. Don't forget to speak up. Your voice is powerful enough, and I love you to absolute pieces. Okay. Bye.